Tena hili si hivyo, mambo ni matatu.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. Two camps have clearly emerged in ODM party, and I'm not so sure whether to categorize them into two categories. The first category is pro-broad-based government versus anti-broad-based government, or to categorize them as the old guards versus the young turks. But we can clearly pinpoint the people in those camps. One camp is clearly led by Edwin Sifuna, powered by Winnie Odinga. And the other camp is clearly headed by none other than the party leader Oburu Wanga and Gladys Wanga. Which camp do you think will have the final say? Because I listened to a statement by Oburu Wanga. Let us listen in to Oburu Wanga very briefly, because in this video, I want us to look at whether Edwin Sifuna whether the young turks or the anti-government forces, that is Edwin Sifuna, Babu Owino, Kaleba Misi, Winnie Odinga, and that group can actually outsmart the pro-government forces led by Oburu Wanga. Let us listen in to Oburu.
But again, I want to assure you that those who want to or think or want to break ODM in their fertile imaginations, I'm telling them that those are very, very fertile imaginations. It will never happen in my hands. We shall not allow ODM to be divided. There is nothing like forming a party to be in the opposition. I'm not going to lead my party to the opposition. I'm going to lead my party to the government. I'm going to make sure that our party is in government. So, my people, I want to thank you very much for the support, for the goodwill that you have shown to me, and I will not let you down.
That's Oburu Wanga. From that statement, it is clear that there is a war in ODM party, and Oburu Wanga is not ready for that war. Who are these people staging this war? Can they win the war? Before we do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, can the young turks in ODM party succeed? For us to figure out whether they can succeed, we need to go back into history. The latest history is when William Ruto successfully managed to outwit the former president, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, in Rift Valley. And for William Ruto to do that, he had to leave Kanu. He moved to ODM party. I'm not so sure whether Edwin Sifuna and the group will be able to outsmart these guys within ODM party. Because if they were to do that, then it will force them to leave ODM party and join another party and outsmart these guys. The other case is Raila versus Ford Kenya. When Raila Odinga was dissatisfied with Ford Kenya, what did he do? Again, Raila Odinga bolted out of Ford Kenya, formed his own political party. But ODM party has been in existence for 20 good years. The ODM supporters are attached to that party. And therefore, the dynamics might actually be different. Several factors will determine whether these young turks can actually outsmart, outwit, and outmaneuver the old guards. The first factor is the generational change. The truth of the matter is that the future of any political party lies with its young generation. Today, do you think majority of the young people or young leaders in ODM party are for the change to the new team? I'm asking that question because I listened to one of the young people there I listened to one of the young leaders from Nyanza, who is the chair of the budget committee, Atandi. These were his words.
The selfish leaders who think that they can fill Baba's shoes. They think they can jump up and fill Baba's shoes and be able to take the party to presidential election. We are telling you no.
ODM imeachwa hali mbaya, hali maututi.
No.
Tuko katika ile inaitwa high dependence unit. Na kuna uwezekano inaweza pelekwa kwa ICU. Kwa sababu tayari hata kabla baba hajazikwa, wamekuwa na haraka ya kuweka replacement. Haikuwa jambo la busara. Kukimbilia kurithi ufalme wa mtu ambaye amekufa hata kabla mjamzika, mmesha endorse mtu mpya. It has never happened in the world. Tunaionea kwa ODM. Hata kama angekuwa ni huyo Oburu, but was it necessary? The speed at which he was endorsed, tunaona hiyo sio heshima kwa baba. Jambo la pili ni kwamba kuna makundi mawili, wale ambao wanakula kwa serikali, wamepata tenders, wanafanya biashara kubwa kubwa na serikali ya William Ruto. Usai wamenona, wanasema uwezi tutoa hii nyama kwa mdomo.
Tumbo imejaa.
But hao ni watu wachache sana.
But the truth of the matter is that the generational change is something which can actually work in favor of the young people. But how they will play around with it will matter. I remember when Raila Odinga died, he handed over the leadership of the party to James Orengo. Raila Odinga outmaneuvered Orengo. But Jaramogi also did something when he was still alive as an old man. He surrounded himself with several young leaders. So it was easy for these young leaders to rise very fast after his death. Do you think this young generation can outsmart the old guards within the ODM party? For me, that's not going to be possible. Just like KANU had its members who could not let it go. Just like the DP, Democratic Party of Kibaki, had its members who could not let it go. Foda Sili had its members who could not let it go. ODM and its leadership will not let it go. So the best strategy would be for these guys to bolt out. But is it strategic for them to bolt out now? Because politics is also about timing. Maybe we can discuss that. Number 2 is the 2027 politics. The way the politics of 2027 will pan out can actually make the young generation to take control of the party. Because the older generation are saying that for them, they have decided they are going to support William Ruto's re-election. But these young people, if they can identify one of them within the party and say by early next year, declare that they are going to support that guy. Let's say Edwin Sifuna now emerge and say, okay, I'm running for the presidency. And I'm going to have Winnie Odinga as the running mate, or I'm going to have Babu Owino as the running mate. If they can push that narrative, I can assure you, the ODM support base are likely to go that direction. But the question is, can they do that? Do they have the ability, the capacity to run a presidential candidate, to run a presidential campaign? Because there's an article which was on the Star newspaper by Dennis Onyango. In that article, Dennis Onyango was explaining that none currently within ODM party has the billions to run campaigns. And he leaked that Raila Odinga at any time would tell the people that I have 3 billion for a start. And then he would add another 3 billion. Can these guys do that? So that's something which is there. But 2027, if they decide to run for the presidency, they can excite the bases and the bases can easily rally around them. In fact, they would not give Oburu Wanga the reason to support William Ruto's re-election. Number 3 is the broad-based government and the politics around it. The truth of the matter is that we have two camps, one supporting broad-based, another one opposed to it. The one supporting broad-based government, if they can convince the party members why they should continue being in broad-based government, then it will complicate the equation. But if this other camp can convince them with the good reasons why they should not support broad-based government, then they can easily have their way. So for me, it's about the interest acquiring power. Which path will lead ODM to acquiring political power? Is it broad-based government? Or is broad-based government making ODM unpopular? So the narrative around that would play a very important role. Number 4 is the financial muscles. Who has the money in ODM party? Who? I can list some. If you were to ask some ODM members today to produce 2 billion, who can produce that money? Can I start? Alias and Joho can easily produce that money. Where is Hassan Joho? Hassan Joho is in broad-based. Who else can produce that money? I don't know any other person. Can Sifuna produce 1 billion Kenya shillings? Babu Wino? Of course, sometimes they can be able to generate that money based on the goodwill. But 2027 presidential campaigns is going to be very expensive. And again, wrestling the control of ODM party from this group requires money. It will be very difficult to succeed without the money. Raila Odinga succeeded because he had the money. Ruto succeeded because he had the money. I'm not so sure whether these other guys have the money. Number 5 is the Gen Z revolution. The young people in ODM party can just stage a revolution and make life very difficult for these old guards. But who can lead them to that revolution within the party? Because I see Casmuel with the other guys. And when you talk of young people, where do you classify someone like Samatandi who's young? Where do you classify someone, say, like Gladys Wanga, who is the chair? Young person. Where do you classify Gladys? Because Gladys Wanga is almost the age mate of Sifuna. So where do you classify some of these guys? Because the other camp has managed now to blend. These young guys are relying on someone like Orengo. Apart from Orengo, who else? But the Gen Zs in ODM party can decide, okay, guys, we are removing you. But remember, ODM party has a little team in the name of Men in Black. Where are the Men in Black in this war? And lastly is the international networks. I'm not sure whether the old guards within the party have the international connections. These young guys also might not have, but I think with the good strategy and with the new media, which is social media, the young leaders are actually able to reach out to their peers across. People like Bobby Wine, people like Malema, across Africa. There are several young people who are trying to push for change so they can link up with them. But again, international networks might not only means those people, it also means right connections within the continent as far as business is concerned. So that when it comes to fundraising, they'll be easily able to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's an answer which I cannot give straight. A straight answer. I'm not so sure whether this young generation can actually outsmart the old guards to take control of ODM party. But one thing I know, they can rebel and stage a walkout with almost more than half, or if less half, of the ODM support base. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.